Oi, oi! I've definitely run out of fingers. I won't get my toes up. It is a dozen. It's 12 episodes of Ranting and Racing. This will probably be a slightly different feel for the fact that we did a viewers live on Thursday. I had lots of input from you guys, so I really appreciated that. There will be bits and pieces of it that, I don't know, I don't want things to just continue forever, but basically if people are doing stuff in the comments that are pissing me off now, I'm just going to block people. If you've got a problem with it, then I do understand it, but send it in as a rant anyway. All I mean with that is, like, when it's third-party disputes or whatever, if it's something that's like opinion-y based, then don't mind us talking about it over and over and over again, like stuff we'll talk about today, like the BHA new ruling, or talk about ground, or talk about runners, all that sort of stuff. If it's something that never going to be proven, needs to go to court or whatever it is, I don't really care. Not interested in it. Anyway, starting off on a nice positive note there. Jamie, how the devil are you? It was a decent racing, well, a decent weekend of racing, in fairness. I know the ground people will moan about that. I know people will say, didn't see Constitution Hill. We can talk about that and what I think could have been done to save that. But I know you're busy. I know you're working lots. How was your weekend, punting-wise and otherwise?
It wasn't too bad, Dave. Good day, Saturday, not too bad. Yesterday didn't really back. No, it wasn't a day for me. I can feel a ground-related rant coming from Jamie. A ground-related rant? Okay.
Tell us how you are. I'm just sticking these up for content.
I said, was it Michael Walker saying he wanted me to rant about how bad Man United are? Yeah. I agree with Michael, and my two brothers are Liverpool fans. Unfortunately, we're going to have to sit and suffer, and Liverpool are going to win the Premier League again, unfortunately. But sure, what can we do? That's life. How was your weekend, Dave? Sandown? Did you meet anybody important?
I did meet some important people. George was there. George Hartley was there with a mate, and bumped into Ian. What do they call him? The Rain Man, didn't they? But
Boss Man Ray.
That's it. And then Scotty had flown over as well, so I got to catch up with him. So yeah, it was a good day at Sandown. I think the best way to start, right? We did the Thursday results because we were live, weren't we? We will talk through some of the race on the Friday and the Saturday. There are a few topics that will come up. In terms of rants from the viewers, barely anything's been emailed in. So we'll just leave that through. If people want to comment in there, we might come to it. If not, we'll just talk about some subjects that are up at the moment. We'll look towards this weekend, the Cheltenham December meetings, Friday, Saturday. There's a few things I want to talk to you about on there. So we'll do that as well. Maybe switch the screen into a bit of a previewy bit. And then we'll go on from there. So decent weekend, to be fair, mate. I said to you just before we came onto the TV, didn't I? I know you said it as well. You had a good weekend, and I was being a bit moany about it. And there was a couple that I felt like I left behind as well. I could have bet I didn't, but you only give a shit about them when they go and win, don't they? So we won't talk about them. I will just quickly update the profit and loss, right? I didn't do a full video. I did a short video, but it's there for everyone to see. It got just as many views as the rest of it did. There was 245 went out, 538 came back, so 292 up, 120% return on investment. Rolling total, since I've been doing it since the 13th of October, is 24% return on investment. We're up £517.58. So we'll keep that going. It's just the way that it goes, then it goes up and down through the season. You might have bad weeks. Sometimes it's just limiting those losses. But good old weekend from the punting perspective. Sonagino was the one that probably annoyed me more for the fact that I did bet him each way because it was the sensible thing to do. But he won nice enough at Aintree, didn't he? I cannot believe Zambella stayed the price that she stayed right till before the off, like 6-4 with Pink Legend drifting. She's won in a canter, isn't she? And I just I said to the boys when we were at Sandown as well, I was like, it's one of those, when it just seems too good to be true, like the price stays up too long. It makes you feel like you've done something wrong, doesn't it? I should have been having a bit more on her. I had a reasonable sized bet, but again, you can't grumble, can you? It's just the way that it goes.
What's this, Dave? Andrew meaning? Here's a rant. No big screen at Sandown on Friday.
Oh, yes, mate. So Friday, right, across the race course, they have a big Betfair. Well, it's TV, sponsored by whoever it is. TV went off, so you couldn't actually see the racing. And Sandown for viewing was one of the first tracks where Matey Boy got his little drone out, didn't he? Because down the back of the railway fences, you can't see shit. So when they had no big screen, they run past you, they fuck off, and then especially the hill, when you look down, you can't really make head nor tail of what's happening. That's a shocker. I will talk about something else for Friday, right, which touches in line with the Constitution Hill scenario. So we will talk about the depth of the racing and things like that as we come on to it. We might as well just quickly do the fight in fifth now, but then we'll revert back to Friday's stuff. I don't understand, right, in this day and age, the fight in fifth was rearranged, right? They had the weather forecast. They knew what was going to happen. Why the fuck didn't they run the fight and fifth on the Friday? I have like it boggles me. You've got a 2-day fantastic festival. They could have just put it on that day. Like I know they want to try and make the Saturday card better, TV and all that sort of stuff. But for the sake of potentially better ground and for him running, they should have run it on the Friday. But again, I suppose that's too obvious for people to say, isn't it? But when they rearranged it in the first instance, they could have known. The last bit I'll say on the fight and fifth was thank fuck one of the girls didn't win it. And I mean that with respect, right? You wear it well was sent off favourite, I think, or was at least 11 to 8 favourite at some point, Jamie. 140 rated mare that potentially would have had her name on the winner's roll of a grade 1 such as fight and fifth with your Bouverdaires on there. So I'm glad that it was not so sleep to the Garp. Obviously, I would have liked it to have been Goshen, but like 140 mare. Let's just picture that, right? In grade 1 race in the UK, a 140 rated mare was favourite for a proper grade 1. Vile.
I'm going to cut across. You know, that's another strike off you. Like, you know, you still mentioned his name. Like, oh my god! Like, for the two of you, give up now on him, please. You should have put that up at the picture I sent you. You should put up that as the thumbnail this week.
But I do agree. But I'll also like. And again, like I always just like to just chew things in, didn't I? She was sent off 11 to 8 favourite in that fight in fifth. She was beaten in the neck, or she beat Goshen by a neck, and he was terrible. I mean, that's the standard of what she was in a race that was sent off a favourite for a grade 1. I agree. We've got to leave Goshen, but at 40s, mate, it was I did it. The only reason I put the bet on him was because I knew Constitution Hill was going to come out. You end up getting a price on him because you bet him before the Rule 4. He's small stakes, and he's the prices that he is. It's not like I'm steaming into him or something. I do need to leave him alone. I agree. I think I've worked back. I've sort of tracked back in my past the reason why I'm still chasing Goshen a little bit. He ran at Lingfield, didn't he? And he pulled right the whole way around and almost won, didn't he? Then a couple of weeks later, ran in the Contenders Hurdle at Sandown, and I think he was sent off like 7-2. And I just remember thinking to myself, how did I not steam into him then? So I've been chasing his tail for a while. He's 7, isn't he? I saw Gary Moore when we were walking back in as well, and I said to him, "What do you do with a horse like Goshen?" And he just said, "Answers on a postcard." So
to me, I was talking to a few lads about it, and to me, it was the worst grade 1 I've ever seen in my life. And that's just my opinion. It's awful. It's terrible. Like, I think the fighting fifth, to be honest with you, is last a bit of a prestige at the moment. Because of the what's happening with the British racing at the moment. I'm like, if it keeps going, I would downgrade the race, in my opinion. It's not worth it anymore. It's too close as well, I think, Dave, to the Christmas Hurdle at Kempton anyway. There needs to be more of a space out there. Maybe it's too early in the season as well, but oh my god, that was terrible. I'm like, we're going about the Henry D8. The Henry 8 was better than that. People were saying it was one of the worst rounds of the Henry 8. No, it wasn't. Like, the winner was good. Colonel Harry is going to probably be warm order for City Isles. JPR1 is a handicapper, which is fair enough. You confirmed it, but wow, it was terrible. Like, that's just my opinion. It was nearly as bad as that. I tell you, the Morgiana as well in Ireland is nearly on par with it now, because Morgiana should be downgraded as well. It's just not good enough.
Yeah,
there's no horses there as well. You can't help when there's no competition and no horses there as well. That's the other side of it too. Like, you know.
And I agree with it. So that's where I feel like, I mean, it won't happen, but it should happen. We know British racing's like not on the decline, but we're in a little bit of a hole. Like it happens, it's cyclical, isn't it? Man United were on top for years. Man City down the bottom. City go up. Man United back up there. Like, it just moves in little waves, doesn't it? Of what's happening with it. British racing is not such a good place at the moment, but they should. BHA and the IHRB should be talking more when it comes to the fixtures list. Have a little round the table and say, look, come on, guys, we've got 10. If we made a 2-mile grade 1 tomorrow, and all of the horses that should run in it, like your 150 pluses, potential should be 160s running it, how many have we actually got? And they say to themselves, well, we've probably got 10 horses across the season that could actually run in this. 5 in Britain, and well, it's not, is it? It's like a couple in Britain and 8 in Ireland, but it's not even that many. They should say, well, fuck it, this year we won't run the fight in fifth. Next year, we'll run the fight in fifth and not run the Morgiana. They should work together so that the trainers have to send them to take on each other, and it just increases the quality of the races. I think they could do something with that. The novice chases, novice hurdles, I think they need to leave them as separate divisions. They need to learn in their own places, because it's like you don't want to rush anything with that. But as soon as it gets to the open races, even when you look at like a Savills Chase and a King George, like, I know they're very different types of races, but it gets to now where there's talk of the King George. When you look at it, probably 4 or 5 or 5 or 6 runners maximum going to run in the King George. And then the Savills Chase won't have too many more, I wouldn't imagine. So you get to the point where you think maybe they could do something, but maybe that's a discussion for another day. What would you think of it? Would you be keen on that if while we're in like a small lull, just for short-term periods, if the races aren't going to fill up enough themselves, like you say, fighting fifth could go down to a grade 2, or just fuck the fighting fifth off. And if a British horse wants to run in a 2-mile race, they go to Ireland.
The biggest problem now, Dave, is that you have too many weekend festival kind of things from Ireland from Navan onwards, and it's diluting everything, and it's diluting the old thing that an Irish horse coming over to the main British races. To be honest with you, that used to be always the way it used to be. I suppose the money and the prize money in Ireland is better now than ever it was on the festivals of the weekend. So there's no kind of way to dress it up that the Irish horses are just not coming over anymore compared to what they were. Now you can flip that around. There was plenty of Irish winners at the November meeting on the Saturday, wasn't there? But no, it's just too much. Like there's just too much of this British versus Irish thing, and is it ruining it? Maybe so. But the field size are going to suffer for it. It's just going to be a long-term effect. Like.
And that's where it should be. Like I know, like a derby's a derby. Like Man United, Man City are never going to get along. They're not going to work together to get things going with. And it's very different in horse racing. As much as it gets to the Prestbury Cup in March, where it is Ireland versus Britain, like that's very much a side note in it. Like you couldn't give a fuck if you backed a British horse or Irish horse that won your money, and neither could I. But during the season, to help each other, they like I say, whether it's open up, do concessions or whatever it is, like they could probably do more by reducing the calendar. But I mean, Ireland's got a fairly good fit on its own anyway, so it's probably a point that we don't need to dwell on too much. So there was some good action, right? I feel like we should talk. There's a few things we brought up in the comments that I do want to talk about some performance. We want to talk about like Stay Away Faye, Giovinco. There was some real good stuff on the Saturday as well. So there's plenty to talk about. But some of the stuff that's picked up in the comments so far that I think we were going to touch on anyway, I'm just going to whip them up and then we'll have a little look at that. So we had the big screen was down at Sandown on Friday. That is unbelievable. I remember they used to drive the little transport trucks in that had the fold down TVs and if they had anything like that. Chris McDonald brought up an interesting point. How good is the security at Aintree? I mean, this is an aspect of something that you could go as far down a rabbit hole as you want with it. Blame culture and people could do more on that sort of stuff. But I'm just I know there's not a lot you can. Well, I don't know what there is you can do to stop anything. Like people are gonna have a scrap. People are gonna have a scrap. But I feel like when I read stuff on Twitter about this, the general, I guess, frustration tends to be that and it's not necessarily just that, but the types of people that it seems like the racing community are trying to get at race courses are drinkers, are social people that aren't really into the racing. So their first and foremost reason to be at the race course isn't to watch the horses run. And I know these geezers are probably on gear, aren't they? It's a scrap that's just kicked over. Like a scrap could happen anyway, couldn't it? But you can't. I don't know what like you're supposed to do about it. But it does seem weird that it happens at certain places and not others. So something like Royal Ascot used to be famous for scraps, didn't it? Haydock, another Norfolk track that gets it, didn't they? And that's not saying you couldn't have it at Southern tracks. Like I say, Ascot's had plenty of scraps in the past, but I don't like it. I don't like the thought of like being there when there's all those sort of things happening. But there's plenty of people as well that said on there that like it's in the enclosure that you might expect it to be in. Most people don't see the noise of it. It obviously gets dealt with after, but I don't know. What do you make of it? You probably you enjoy watching a good scrap, maybe, do you?
To be honest with you, Dave, I've never really seen scrap in Irish racing, and not just blowing our own trumpet. Teahupoo watching. He'd be in bed with Teahupoo next. I haven't really seen it, and I'm not just saying, oh, because I'm Irish and I haven't seen it. It's been, as you said, I've seen it at Haydock, I've seen it at Newcastle, I've seen it. What was it? Ascot was bad there one time, wasn't it? I don't know. I don't know exactly what you're saying. Like there's people just dare to have the drink, and if they have no interest in the racing, do you know what I mean? But look, these things happen, and you've just to rise above it, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that, which is nothing to do with the fight, £7.90 at Sandown for a Guinness in a paper cup.
I saw the white paper cup on Twitter. Yeah,
it's like more expensive than Cheltenham. But let's remember there won't be something on Twitter talk about the ticket prices for Tingle Creek or the white paper cups there, because it's not a dig at Cheltenham, is it? It gets more reach if it's talking about the Cheltenham Festival. But yeah, like that was bad. Like the worst about the paper cups is they can't pour anyway. They don't know if it's settled or what it is, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was fairly tasty. They had it at Cheltenham a few years ago. Do you remember they did the paper cups the first day, and the next day they were straight into plastics, weren't they?
Oh, they have the black Jockey Club, navy kind of Jockey Club cups, coffee cups, weren't they?
That's it. But that was just annoying.
But sure,
again,
look,
with that sort of...
if you're charging that much, are you attracting the Irish audience then to come over for a Tingle Creek?
Not if
At
they bring out a
£7,
fucking paper cup.
Oh yeah, like a £7.90. I know plastic is bad enough, but then you have a paper one, and you don't know if it's settled or not.
Mate, the thing is though, if they start dropping the prices and there was a scrap at Aintree, people would say it's because the booze is too expensive.
Yeah, that's the other side of it. But £7.90, I won't be darkening Sandown's door at that price now for a long time.
Absolute liberty, in it. And then you wonder why people that aren't into racing don't want to go there. But then why do you want people that aren't into racing to be at a race course? I know you want to try and lure people in, but surely there's better ways of getting them in. Get them in from the seat at home or wherever. It's bollocks to it. Don't want to talk about it. Let's talk about King George Tour. We'll quickly do this one. Like I say, it's probably going to be a small field. I mean, I know you love Shishkin, but not ideal the fact that he didn't even get like a little tank around. Or, I mean, Paul Nicholls said this in his Ditch Eat Diaries with Betfair, was saying, obviously, like him saying that like he might have run Rubode in there. We wanted to see what the entries were before he decided whether to enter him or not. Saw that Constitution and Shishkin were in there, so he didn't even bother entering him. But he was just saying that Nicky obviously wants to get a run before a King George. And then almost to an extent, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but was suggesting if you can't get a horse fit for a race without going to a race course, then he's a bit confused by that, basically. But I guess it's more the fact that he wants to get him to a race course and see him do something, isn't it? How are you feeling about that? Because obviously you were fairly keen. Well, not I would say fairly keen, but like Shishkin was your idea of like a major player in a King George. The way I see it is, I'm really struggle to see how Brave Man's Game gets beat, to be honest with you. And he's starting to shorten up, isn't he? But what are your thoughts on Shishkin first and foremost?
I still think he'll win if there's no Irish horse in the race. That's just
even
my opinion.
Small field, all that sort of stuff will be fine to him, you reckon?
No, yeah, he's better going right-handed, and he'll jump off and up the straight. If he's right next to Brave Man's Game, he's going to win. He just has the better turn of foot. He might be like what people say, the dog now, but no, his record for Kempton. Look, they both have good records at Kempton. There's no doubt about that. But his record for itself is at Kempton, and I still think he'll win. Yeah. Now, if Cherry Column or like is Allaho
they're not. Well, I'm being told they're not. Neither of them are coming, which is why Brave Man's Game is short as 2-1 now. I don't know what price Shishkin is the time of recording, but a lot of them were like first three places. So because the real whacker's going to go there, George will talk about it as well, saying that he was the scummy each way bet because probably will place. It's going to be 5 runners or whatever. You won't get the same place terms on the day, but he's all started to eat up a little bit now. The thing with that is like the King George does always feel like a nice race. I've bet in it in the past, but it's never one that I really steam into anything. Like I might have a few fluke bets. I did Allaho last year on the whim that he might come over at the back end of last season or back end of the Cheltenham season before, and obviously he didn't come over. So it's not really a race that I get too stuck into, but obviously with it shortening up in runners, I guess people will start getting annoyed with it. But I think we're going to have the main ones there. And what I mean by the main ones is Brave Man's Game versus Shishkin. As long as them two are in the race, I'm fairly happy. Are you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time. Yeah. No, I'm still with Shishkin. Yep. I'm not changing my mind.
Happy days. Right. Let's peel a little bit more, and then we can get on. Oh yeah, Slade Steel was a bit of mention of that. Indiana Dreams got a few mentions in here. Lots of stuff. Right, we're going to quickly just skim down to make sure there's no fighting. Right, you're all playing nicely. Let's move on. Right, let's review some of the racing that's happened. Right, because there was some good results. There was some good racing that was going on. So Friday, Stay Away Fair, Giovinco. What were your thoughts on that, mate? Do you think the form could be reversed at any track this season, any Grade 1 that they might face off against each other? Like if you think when it comes to Aintree maybe, or they're not going to race against each other in the King George, are they? They could, I suppose, go against each other in the Reynolds Town. But what do you think? Do you think that form's just going to stand up now? Stay Away Fair's the better horse. Do you think that's a Brown Advisory winning performance?
Not on that ground, Dave. No, it's not a Brown Advisory performance. But the other side of it is that Stay Away Fair's been around Cheltenham, except for the new track. We stopped with Fabiolo. I know he's going to win the Stairs Hurdle. We all know that. He'd probably be beaten by some outsider now. But anyway, if to me with Giovinco, does he really stay is the question mark. Should he be stepped back to 2.5 miles for returners? But I think if you Stay Away Fae has won, and there's a track bias. The new course is a stairs track, or the old course is more of a speed track, in my opinion. So I'd be worried about Stay Away Fae on good ground on the old track. Where I think if they went championship pace, 3 miles, decent ground, Giovinco would beat Stay Away Fae. Yeah, that's just
Yeah,
my
fair
opinion.
enough. I think what's got, we
He is
could
a good horse.
shoehorn we could shoehorn in like Indiana Dream here as well, because where that horse is going to go and trip, it was heavy ground that won on at the weekend. For the purpose of like the Brown advisory, right? I said it to Daryl beforehand, and I know they are very different, but we'll see what happens at Christmas if he does run. But Flooring Porter, right? I know when he had his novice chase at Cheltenham, he didn't go clear. He just went with them. But when it comes to the festival, he will be going like the clappers. It will be like Might Bite and Whisper. Flooring Porter will be a fence clear of Stay Away Fae, and then I just don't see how Stay Away Fae catches Flooring Porter after. But like I say, we'll see what he does at Christmas. Hopefully, it's quite dominating. I get the reasons why he's never going to be short in a Brown advisory, but obviously, me betting him, I wouldn't be worried by what Stay Away Fae did there in terms of thinking that would beat beat Flooring Porter. But Indiana Dream was very impressive, right? Bookies first opened it up. I got sent a message with someone saying even money they've opened this horse up, which we're all a bit like, that's way too short. Then he went off at 9-4. The rest of the bookies opened up about a 9-4 poke on him. But I think when we talked about it, I was saying to you, like, I like the Mark Walsh booking instead of Paul Townend. It doesn't work the same as a normal Ruby Walsh and the Munir type stuff where potentially gets first choice. Like if JP's jockey wants to ride a horse, Willie Mullins or otherwise, I'm pretty sure they get the shout of it. But was a pretty decent performance. And the reason why I'm talking about this in terms of the Brown advisory is that for the life of me, right, Gaelic Warrior will not run in a Brown advisory. Gaelic Warrior probably should run in the Turners, but if anything happened to Vassal Vega, Gaelic Warrior would go in the 2 miles. If there was a 1 mile race at Cheltenham, that's where they'd run Gaelic Warrior. They want to run him, I think, over the smallest trip, the least chance for him to jump out to the side. And who knows what's going to happen down Dublin Racing Festival? Who knows? He might start running down fences out to the right. We'll see how it goes. But Indiana Dream, I just think it's worth mentioning. That was on bad ground. Was over 2 mile 4. He's a 5-year-old, turning 6. Would you give him a shout in the Brown advisory or the Turners? Would you be able to split which race you think he might go in? Were you even impressed with what he did?
I was impressed with what he did, but heavy ground and he's fragile. We hadn't seen him got in over a year, wasn't it? He wouldn't be on my radar now. He'd be more of a fairy house punches down horse for me, or even an Aintree. It's just not for me. No. Like obviously Hidden Valley Lake disappointed and it was overhyped, I thought, last year for Nelda Bartlett. San Felicien is definitely one to keep an eye out for a handicap. There's definitely a handicap in that horse. Where is the question? No, he wouldn't be on my radar at all. No, he was impressive, but I think there's just too much depth. Like, it's not too much depth. Like, is he going to beat Gaelic Warrior and Returners? Very much doubt it. Is he going to beat Marie National or Festival Vegan and Arkle? No. Like, the Brown advisory has Stay Away Fae, Giovinco, Flooring Porter, and Classical Dream. Is he going to beat any of those 4? No. Not my good. Unless it's absolute, like we get the last 2 Wednesdays at the Cheltenham Festival, that it like he might have a chance then. But that brings more Stay Away Fae into being the one to beat if it was like the last couple of Wednesdays on a Cheltenham Festival where it's been a bog. So it brings him in then, but no, I couldn't have him, no.
Fair enough. We'll have to see where he goes as well, because I'm pretty sure Willie Mullins ran Black Hercules in that as a beginner's chase stuff. And then we saw Black Hercules, Willie, favourite for National and Trace, and then went and won a JLT, didn't he, the former Turners. So it's mad. Like, he definitely deserves to be on that. It's quite good as well to hear your thoughts on it, because I spoke to a few people. You'll know Daryl put him up in his column this Sunday. So I'm not saying necessarily biased, but obviously I've spoken to people that are really keen on him. So obviously the more people you speak to, if everyone's really keen on him, and the bookmakers have got him a supposedly Rick Price. I mean, straight after that, he was 12-1-ish for Turners and maybe like 14s for an RSA, but Bet365 still went 20s for the Turners and 25 for the RSA, which is why Daryl just texted me and said, mate, you just, like, regardless of what you think of it, these prices are wrong. Like, just get some money held up on it and then you can make your decision down the line, because he's probably going to shorten up. So that covers. Also, go on.
He's 20-1, 25-1 in places for a reason, in my opinion. I wouldn't.
Well, that's it. True, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes when they look too good to be true or they're too big, then maybe the bookies know better than we do, don't they?
Yep.
Right, let's go through Saturday. I feel like Aintree was a bit of a mess of a race car, to be honest with you. The Golden Sun Beginners Chase with Pembroke in there. Pembroke crossed the line in an absolute crawl. I think the same was true for maybe it was Richmond Lake that just crossed the line in an absolute crawl. The Pembroke one was interesting because we know Harry Skelton likes to send his horse up for home early, but he made the horses pull up in the mid part of the race because he was going so quick on that type of ground. The fact that he tied up a bit in the end, not necessarily irrelevant, but would suggest to me that for all it was a wide margin win and he broke him in the middle of it, be semi-interested in him coming back in trip. I wouldn't see him as like, again, he's not going to be beaten like a Gaelic warrior, is he? But he went a decent enough clip. Zambella was obviously one that I had a good bet on. She was like absolutely just in a canter, was quite good. Sonagino was probably the best performance of the day for me, but more for the fact that like he just did what he was supposed to do. He was back at Aintree when he was similar to like a Springwell Bay. Like he was the 137 horse that was capable of running to his mark. Some of the others probably weren't good enough to run to their mark. And then that Knight of Allen that ran in the listed juvenile hurdle, I actually thought that ran pretty well. Andrew Mountain, we did the GG thing, mentioned that it could be like a Fred Wintry type horse, but considering that's its first actual completed start on a race course, I reckon that one could be semi-interested as the season goes on. But anything at Aintree catch your eye? Anything at Aintree you want to see next time out, or anything you might be tempted to bet at any point?
Exactly what you said about Pembroke. I'd like to see him in a Grand Annual, all right, and kind of up at the pace, really. But would have that race ruined him maybe for the rest of the season?
Yep.
That's the biggest problem. Yeah, Sonagino back Sonagino like herself. Beecher Chase was not great, was it? I suppose I totally agree with you. The best race, obviously, but it was a listed race. It was a listed juvenile, wasn't it? Yeah. That Liari looks a horse to follow for next year over Novice Chases.
Yeah.
Getting all the allowances. He looks a big, strong juvenile. Would he win at Cheltenham? No. The Skelton horse looks interesting. He'll win races. But the Knight of Allen, I totally agree. He's definitely the one in the back of it for a Boodles. Yeah, that was probably the best race in the card, and going forward, really, potential. Obviously, it is because it's the youngest horse in the world, like going hurdling. But
no, but there's plenty of
Zambella for me, like Pink Legend. Like you're not going to have him on a radar for Mayor's Chase, are you?
Not at all. But that, again, like it was just like that was her time to better. They're talking about getting
exactly.
covered in March, didn't they?
Yeah.
But they were talking about getting her covered in March. Like Cheltenham isn't her track, but like they were talking about getting her covered in March. And so Darryl was saying to me, well, that means ruled her out of the Mayor's Chase at Cheltenham. But you know what it's like when they run when they're in foal, didn't they? They seem to have a little spring in their step. So maybe that's the little extra juice they want for there. Right, let's move on to another track. Chepstow, Nassalam's the one that got away, I think, this weekend. I didn't really look at the race. I did see he was running. Didn't have enough time to look at it properly, so didn't have a bet on it. Feel like an idiot because he did go and win. But thoughts on him for the actual Welsh Grand National proper? Do you think it's going to come too soon, or do you think he can overcome that short run? Because was it that hard a race for him? I mean, it was bad ground, wasn't it? But what do you make of him?
I agree. I totally tend to agree with you. It might come too fast. Maybe that was his day. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be touching him for a Welsh National, no. But look, the Welsh National is a very unpredictable race. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I agree with Aaron Bennett there. The Skelton horse is one for the Bulls. Yeah, Favre, is it Favre or something like that? No, I wouldn't be. I see a lot of people, have done kind of like the double. Backed him the weekend and backed him for the Welsh National. He's not a horse that you can rely on. Do you know what I mean? So, as I said, and I repeat myself, that Saturday was probably his day. No, I wouldn't put anyone off him back for a Welsh National, but I won't be backing him for a Welsh National. No.
Yeah, fair enough. I think it's important as well with those races that are trials.
The trial, yeah.
They're that, aren't they? Not everyone in the race was trying 100% or fully wound up. So he's gone and won a race, but next time he will be facing probably twice as many horses that are there to go and win, aren't they? Right, Navan, before we come on to Sandown, there was loads of good stuff there. Caldwell Potter was pretty impressive in that maiden hurdle. Slade Still, I mean, I think Slade still was good in the Navan Novice Hurdle. I was a bit worried that the bad ground would be enough of a test for him at the trip, but won well. I do like the horse. One of my horses to follow. I mean, he's beaten stayers as far as I'm concerned over the right trip, but it was on bad ground. So I thought he was. I think he did what he was supposed to do. Obviously, we've already touched on Indiana Dream was pretty impressive, and then obviously the My Trump card, the Gordon Elliott, Patrick Mullins, just get yourself out the shit stakes because that was guaranteed to win. But Caldwell, Potter, Slade, Steele, what were your thoughts on them two and for going forward, mate?
I'll go back even further. The first race, I thought that horse that ran on his debut at Cork, and then he ran. No, he probably beat nothing. Gigaro. I'd like to go back and see what the speed figure was in the last 2 or 3 furlongs because he looks like he wasn't stopping at all going up the hill, and visually he looked like the only horse that had it was running and finishing to the line. He's definitely a horse to follow, Gigaro. I'd like to see him steps up and great. Slade Steele, I agree with you. He beat Stairs and he was entitled to beat the Stairs. Like, is the form any good with Lecky Watson and all them? Is the question. That's what I love the horse Slade Steele. I really like him. But the fact of the matter is the form good enough going forward? Like, would you have Lecky Watson in your like in a conversation to win a race at Cheltenham? No, you wouldn't. I thought the better ground is the factor. I would say to you, but I presume now it'll be skip Christmas and straight to the Lauders, and it's just the form of the race is putting me off him. That's at the moment. As we said, Indiana Dream. Yeah, my trump card. That shows you how good that Gavin Cromwell horse that beat him at Navan because he was giving him weight. And Harry Swan? Sorry, Charlie Swan. Harry Swan was taking 5 off my trump card that day, and he was getting weight off Spring to Mare and Apples or Brazils for Barry Connell. They're definitely horses going forward, Apples and Brazils, and Spring to Mare. I really like that Spring to Mare. Is it maybe? But I'd be backing it for a bumper? No, but going forward for the future next season, he's definitely a horse to follow.
Yeah, nice. You mentioned both of those horses when you talked to Gavin, didn't you? Saying about it, and then obviously they got him beat. They didn't try and get that My Trump card beat first time up, but this was an opportunity, wasn't it, for sponsors, all that sort of stuff to make it a happy heyday, wasn't it? Sandown, then we'll talk about what happened there on Saturday. For me, I don't think there's too much to talk about, right? Booster Bob won the first race with Will Mount not running. We remember a couple of years ago when Altior was pulled and then Nicky Henderson proceeded to run everything else. And I said, imagine being the owners of the other horses where all Nicky Henderson is saying, I'm not going to risk a horse like Altior on this ground. And then he proceeds to run all these other bloody horses. So the fact that Will Mount came out was no surprise to me. The ground was nowhere near as bad as, I guess, like it was sort of made out to me. People thinking it being abandoned and stuff like that. But I mean, Booster Bob, to be fair, ground it out. I don't think he jumped very well, but like on the flat, looked like he's got a bit of ability, but he's in no conversations for proper novice races this season, is he?
Aintree.
All right, Aintree. We'll leave it as that then. Fight and Fifth, we've already touched on. I don't think there's any more to say on that, is there?
No.
Okay, the Henry VIII Novices Chase, Le Patron got the job done. Didn't actually go out in front, was settled in behind. And I said that to the boys when we were there. I was like, he's actually being ridden like he's got a proper chance, for the fact that they didn't go and make the running with him. When I put my bet up, I suggested that I would be leaving an in-running lay in there, which I did. So fairly early on, it was 50 quid if he got beat, 160 if he won after getting my stake back. Did get the job done. I thought it was pretty good. One of those, again, that as much as it might have been a bit of a shock to a few people because of the price, I think it was one of those that, as I know you'll say that it was an all rightish grade 1, but it wasn't like he didn't have that much to find on figures to go and to go and do it. Like, I don't think any horse in that race should have been that big a price. Gary Moore loves it round there, didn't he? Like almost, I know he doesn't train round there, but it's like almost like his backyard, isn't it? And like Dave Noonan getting his first grade 1, I didn't even know that was a thing either, but mad, isn't it? But like, it was like nice enough performance. What would you see of him going forward? Because I know you touched on Colonel Harry as well. What do you make of the race and where they're going to fit? JPR one's a handicapper, isn't it, you said?
Yeah, JPR being the Grand Annual, Le Patron being the Arkell. Be lucky to finish 10 lengths within the main 2. Colonel Harry is an absolute good thing for the Scilly Isles, yeah. So that's about it. I'll move on.
Nice. So the best one to move on after, I'll very quickly, that Spirit Danu, I know you and Spectre liked him, didn't you, when he ran in the Mastersons and just pulled too keen there, just didn't really get the job done. Had his day in the sun. Did you bet him on Saturday?
No.
Oh, that must make you, mate. That must make you feel sick because even I felt sick for not betting him after he won. He won nice, really, didn't he?
He won easy, yeah. I suppose he likes a little bit of soft ground as well, doesn't he?
Soft ground and sand down on it.
Yeah, where does he go? I don't know.
There's a novices. Is he a novice? Oh, he's not, is he? Because he's Masterson's he type 1. Well, anyway, there'll be a race for him at Sandown later in the season, I guess. What did you make of Jonbon, though, mate?
Jumping went to pot, really, didn't it? Coming, that didn't go pot. Do you know what I mean? Edwardstone, like, I'm going to be controversial. If Edwardstone and it was a little bit better ground and didn't peck, was it at the second railway fence, wasn't it? Down the back? Was it the second one, the middle one? He'd have beaten him. That just is my opinion. He'd have beaten him. Like, Edwardstone obviously needs to go out and trip. He doesn't have to, like, he does still have the pace to keep up with Jonbon, but to me, he needs to go out and trip now because of his age. But better ground there the weekend, and the way Edwardstone looked like the old Edwardstone. Like, people say now that I love Nico Devine fell after the night TV, and then goes the bit of the fighting talk, which is great to see. To be honest with you, saying that we'll see now what Fabiolo does on Sunday at Cork. Getting on to that, El Fabiolo still wins for me, and Paul Townend made a great point: is that they weren't going fast enough in Cork for me. That's why he was keen, and that's why he needs Dysart Dynamo for a pace angle. So to me, the Boinville has a huge decision to make if Dysart Dynamo is in the race. Is he going to go with Dysart Dynamo and take it up at the water jump and go for home? Then he'll go too fast, and then Fabio will just pick him up again. Now, does the Boinville suit Jonbon compared to Coleman with Jonbon? 100%. 100%. He's definitely a different horse with the Boinville. But to me, where Jonbon has a problem is that where Dysart Dynamo is in the race, he's going to go off like the clappers. This is going to suit Fabiola. Fabiola can maintain it. I always said to you, I was at the side of the thing, and like we were there. Jonbon to me was slowing up the hill after really tanking through the race, all the race, but he jumped the last and he was slow up the hill, in my opinion. Fabiola will be still going, and Fabiola still beats him, in my opinion.
Yeah, fair enough. I went and watched the slower chase back after because obviously El Fabiolo was having his first one of the season when he in the heavyweight. Jonbon's first one of the season was in that slower chase. It's not like it hasn't come too soon for him in this race. Like he's getting plenty of races in him, and he wasn't quite the same horse before the race, right? I don't want to read too much of this, but like he definitely wanted to go back in the stables. He even when he was like going round, he did jump markedly left at a few, and then I went back and watched the slower, and he did the same at a few fences at Cheltenham too. Did it at the last, which wouldn't have been a tendency that I would have thought off the top of my head was him. But obviously, going left-handed and jumping left at Cheltenham would be less of a hindrance. And at the end of the day, like he did still grind it out. I know what you're saying about Edwardstone, but at the end of the day, he got the job done. He won. It was quicker than the Henry VIII as well. So typically we have this year after year. Everyone's like the Henry VIII was quicker. I don't know how often it happens, but more often than not, I think the novices are quicker than the elders. I thought it was a good enough performance. There was no reason to change the prices in Cheltenham at all. Like it wasn't like he blew everyone away, but I feel like that's what sort of would have had to happen, wouldn't it? He would have to do a similar slower chase or that celebration chase again. He'd have to go and bolt clear for people to start thinking that he's, I guess, like a worthy adversary, however you say it, for El Fabiolo. Do you reckon they'll clash in that Ascot chase, the Clarence House?
I think they might, yeah. Like an argument Shishkin did, yeah. Bring it on.
Yeah, and I think that as well, because I know JP McManus said that he'd rather avoid him for as long as possible, and it might be a different story because of that. And I know people will say, oh, there's the game spirit for them to run in as well, wouldn't there? But I do wonder what the benefit is of dodging El Fabiolo before Cheltenham, because you said tactically, what's Nico going to do? He's going to have to make a decision on him. You'd like to have a couple of goes at it, wouldn't you? But I would say that his jumping was out to the left. And I wonder whether that might be enough to stop him going around Ascot. That's the only thing that worries me.
Is that what JP McManus said? Is this
on Saturday? Yeah, Matt Chapman did a nice interview of all his grandchildren there, and it was like nice to see them. And then he said, "What about El Fabiolo? We're looking forward to the rematch." And he was like, "Sure, yeah, but we'll be avoiding him as much as we can." or something on those lines. But obviously that's now been put in context of Willie Mullins now saying he's coming over to Ascot. Like he's one for the fans and he wants to run his horses. I would genuinely say though he definitely jumped left both starts this season, Jonbon, which I hadn't noticed so much before. And you can't, the fractions that would be there to beat an El Fabiolo, he can't afford to put anything wrong to beat him in March. So I think he would struggle to beat him round Ascot personally.
That's complete utter my games by JP. Fair play to him. That's
no,
like
but he said it before El Fabiolo ran and before Willie said that he was coming to Ascot.
He knows what El Fabiolo's done. That's like the whiteboards of Willie Mullins and Energamine. Yeah. It wouldn't bother me, to be honest with you, Dave, if Jonbon beat Fabiolo in Ascot. It wouldn't, like, it was like the same with Energamine and Shishkin.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't bother me at all, like, because Fabiolo would win the Cheltenham now.
Right, let's do Sunday, and then we'll have a quick skim for Friday, Saturday's cards because we want to get this done, right?
Yeah.
Fortunately, it's just Cork, right? So there's El Fabiolo's performance. Like for me, I would just say that his was pretty much on par with what Jonbon did in the Tingle Creek. Didn't enhance his chances, didn't do anything to negate them, was just a good effort, gets the job done. Good horses win those races, don't they?
Yeah, he did what he had to do.
Yeah. What did you make of the Mares Novices Chase? Because obviously when I talked about it, I suggested that it was Harmonia Maker versus Zenta. We touched on the whole Dino Blue thing, that as much as they get all the allowances, there's a reason for the allowances. Silent Approach, good winner in the end, really. And I mean, I don't know if you would have been able to necessarily pick her out, but maybe I was guilty of just looking at the two bigger names and thinking, well, it's between them. When actually, if you go back and watch Silent Approach's first chase start back at Gowran in November, she did it easy. Admittedly, not beating much, but did it easy. And then potentially the drop back in trip was going to help her. What do you think of her and the ones in behind for going forward? Have we got any novices in there that could win anything at March, or any of them that could be contenders for the Mares Chase?
Not in my opinion, Dave. No. Yeah, I agree. We were kind of blindsided by the two at the top of the market. I agree. But no, I was the same as you. I went back and watched that, and she was really good, but beat nothing really at Gorn. I wouldn't have her in the conversation for a Mares Chase. No.
Nope, fair enough. Well, there's plenty of other nice races for him to go and win, isn't there? The Stairs Novice Hurdle, which was the race before the Grade 3, won by Search for Glory for Gordon and Jack. Seems just like Gordon and Jack win everything, didn't they? I did look at Mahon's Way as a potential winner of the race. I don't know what possibly happened to that horse. I'd have to just draw a line through it and forgive him for next time, but wouldn't want to be like having any money on him anytime soon. But Search for Glory, do you think he looks like a horse that stamped his authority as a leading Stayers novice this season, or do you think it's just a Grade 3 in name and a Grade 3 in nature?
Grade 3 in name and Grade 3 in nature. The first race, Dave, was won by Hart. Won by 8 lengths, and it was 17 lengths behind a horse that was mentioned here before, Mighty Bandit. Yeah. So the Mighty Bandit is definitely a horse to follow. Yeah, I know. Look, the Hart race didn't look great, but yeah, I would definitely have Mighty Bandit on my radar for going forward. I put it that way too.
Yeah, shortened up for the Triumph off the back of that as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Nice.
No, do you Triumph first? We'll see.
We will see, but that's the beauty of it. We will see, because Willie will unleash something in the
Mighty
maiden,
Mighty Bandit will probably run on Stevens Day, Boxing Day, in the Night Frank Juvenile Hurdle. Yeah, so we'll see.
Agreed. And then Willie will probably stick his better ones in the maiden
3-year-old maiden,
and then they'll face off at Dublin Racing Festival, and then we'll find out where they stand, because they'll reverse form at Cheltenham like Far Class and Mr. Adjudicator did.
Yeah,
back and forth all season, innit? But these are good ones because there's time to bet them in there. There's times to get involved with them at different times of the season. Like, the Far Class Mr. Adjudicator was wrong, because Espoir the Land should have won that Spring Juvenile if he hadn't have gone wrong. Also would have won the Triumph if he hadn't gone wrong. I'll never stop talking about it. But like there, Mighty Bandit will be a bet at some point in the season, probably at Christmas in that night, Frank. But then after, when they go against her in the Spring Juvenile, there might be something else in there. But then there might not. Might go and do the goods there. That's all the racing sort of covered. Do you want to do a quick look at the weekend? Quick one?
We can, yeah, if you want, quick one.
Right, let's take the old glasses off for us. Up. And then I'm gonna whip this over here. Talk amongst yourself, guys. No problem there. Present share screen window. This one. I think I'm sharing, right? Is it up?
We're nearly there.
Can
There you
you
go.
tell what it is yet? Right. Obviously, there's lots of good racing this weekend, but I say lots. There's lots of racing away from Cheltenham, but we'll just talk quickly through the Friday and the Saturday because there's a few. I guess there's a few on like a few people's radars with these anyway. Does Doncaster have a 2-day meet in this one as well? I think it might do. Anyway, the novice hurdle that kicks off at the start of it, right? There's a few like names in there, like Gidley Park. Harry Fry thinks that's a proper horse. I don't think Meatlow's very good, but I know the blogger had him up in his bets when he was getting like a load on a spin. But for me, there's nothing in the novice hurdle that I think is worth talking about. Do you?
What? What? Keep going down. There, number 16.
Sorry, they're going to run her at Cheltenham, aren't they? Will, do you think they're actually going to run her at Cheltenham against the boys?
She will, yeah. She'll run and she'll win. And then on to the Mayor's
run?
Yep.
You think she'll run?
I know she's docked. I know, look. Yeah, I think she'll run, yeah.
She got an entry anywhere else. I mean, like I said before, I really want to see her go to Cheltenham. So fingers crossed they go into a good opportunity because the race doesn't look that good, does it? But I do think like if that Gidley Park runs, I'll give her much more respect if she goes and wins that.
Beat the Bet and Gidley Park are good horses, yeah, not bad, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what. Yeah, so not wouldn't be a race that I would say would be. I'd say she should be favouring, but she might be. The Novices Chase. Obviously, I'm desperate for Hermes Allen to run at Cheltenham. I'm not desperate for him to run here, but there's this option, and then there's the following Friday at Ascot in the Noel Novices Chase. I think it is. So I guess they'll obviously think about this whether they're going to run him or not. If he did come in here and you saw the likes of Hermes Allen versus Grey Dawn after what he did at Haydock, where would your money be sitting?
Will they both run? In my opinion, if they don't run, I don't know. If they don't run that one that won at Carlisle off top eight in the novice handicap is a trail on, I'd be back in that, all right. But Great Dawning and Hermes Allen, that's a tough one for me.
Hermes is a beast. Get him running, Nichols. Get him running.
I suppose Hermes Allen's been around the track, where I think Great Dawning is more of a flat track horse, yeah. So I'd be Hermes Allen.
Agreed.
Him, yeah.
But like I say, we'll have to see if he goes. I would be desperate for him to run Friday, to be honest with you, because I want to see him go and put a performance in to back up what he did last time. And as much as Ascot would be another nice place to go and do it, I seen, and obviously it's only 2 weeks after from a fitness perspective. They have to make sure he's ready, but I see no reason why he shouldn't be going and doing it here. There's a handicap hurdle after that's got some big old names in there. Pentland going back after basically a year off. Nemean Line that I fancied for the Greatwood. We've got Soaring Glory that's going to have to win a bet for a hurdle for us. There's other horses in there like Go Dante. Who else?
Willie the Builder.
Willie the Builder, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Fuck me. I mean, it's a race that will ruin us, but we'll leave that till there's final decks to look at, surely.
Yeah.
Lovely. Mayor's handicap chase.
No,
not even allowing us to look at that. Veterans handicap chase would be a nice race, but again, we're leaving that bad boy. The cross country, there's been masses of money for conflated in this one, hasn't there, by the looks of it? Any thoughts on this? You had any rumours about who might or might not go?
No idea, but obviously Conflated probably run, wouldn't he, to have a spin around the track before Cheltenham in March. Obviously, he's probably going for the cross country in March, so I presume he's coming around for the spin. Is he betting proposition at 72 first time out around the track? You want to be a brave man.
Yeah, but that's it. You take these ones on at the head, didn't you? In in the handicap terms, jeez.
Yeah, just to watch the race, really, Dave, and to see how we get on.
Chantry House. He didn't talk about his poor performance in that attempt. I was glad that he ran. Obviously, disappointed he didn't qualify, but if they were to run him in this 6 days after, just a bog standard handicap over 3 miles. My head would be fried as to why they would do it. So I don't understand it. However, look, he's 25s, mate. Like, that's stupid, right?
Surely
that means he's just not going to run, isn't he?
More than likely he won't run now. He was poor, wasn't he? I think Captain Morgs won this race last year, didn't he? Well, certainly did. He'd interest me at that price, but I was looking at his mark from last year. The newest one obviously won the weekend. I should have backed that, because Buddy won what beat him at the November meeting. I should have backed that. That was the one that got away. Will he run again a week after? So this race is probably going to cut up a bit, Dave. No, I wouldn't be anything on my radar for that.
Fair enough. I will just say to the people out there that I have had a tenner on Chantry at 25s purely for the fact that if he does run it, he's stupidly the wrong price, but
What
he
about
might
the
not be. Could be bad.
one? Is he back over hurdles? Did you back that horse there that day, Lescott, didn't you? Hermino?
Yes, he
Yeah,
unseated first time up, didn't
yeah. He might be a bet.
he? Yeah. I mean, he
16.
looked like he should make a chaser, but he couldn't do anything, could he, over fences?
No, he couldn't. No.
Like a
Yeah,
Godson.
yeah. Second time.
Right, that's Friday, which literally just nipped in the bud.
Yeah.
Saturday, we've obviously, it is the 2-day thing at Doncaster, isn't it? There's a mare's race then anyway. Not worry about that. We'll come back to that another time. So at Cheltenham, I feel like there's a couple of races that I get a bit excited about on this particular card. The juvenile this year, unfortunately, we don't have Bird at Road going in it, or like what I'd class as the top tier stuff, but I'd be interested to see where some of these horses stack up. Is there anyone that are like in the entries here that you actually think could be top tier, or you're excited to see, or not so much?
No, waiting for Leopardstown now is the next time you see a decent juvenile.
Yes, mate. Right. Novices handicap chase. We do quite like these ones. Saw Carl Hinchy was out moaning about Mr. Coffee, saying that how can he still be allowed to run in novice races when he's had so many starts over fences, which again, in the rules of everything, maybe he's got a point, right? The novices races are there to give him experience without having to go against battle hardened horses, or I guess ones in there. So that could be something else we could add to the list of not allowing horses under 135 to run, and not letting horses like this have too many starts in there. But would there be anything in here that you'd like? I see Trelawn's entered in this race as well, 143 and a handicap. One, like you say, top weight last time. If you look at the fact that Mr. Coffee and Mufasa would be the hardest ones to go against, might be the place to go. Or do we think we've all been caught is a handicap blot of 135 with what Broadway Boy did?
Mark, he's not an absolute blot, but he should be winning this, shouldn't he? F135 at the forum with Broadway Boy and Florian Porter.
As long as the ground dries out, I'd say. But
like the extra, like was it 3 miles, 1 and a bit, like that will suit him down to the ground, won't it? So yeah, I suppose like whatever price he opens, like if it's not a great race, he's probably going to be favourite. Like, so
well, that's it. Sometimes they are short, aren't they? Handicap chase after Calico's in there. There's a few others that have probably got chances too, I would imagine. That In Excelsis Dio, I think the last day a few people quite like that didn't obviously get the job done, come third. Calico was probably a little bit unlucky. Would there be anything on names here jumping out for you to have a bet on?
I actually fancy In Excelsis Dio for the December Gold Cup. I'd rather him in that, really. That's the way he stayed on. But look, if he ran out here, he'd definitely have a chance, yeah, he'd definitely be on my radar.
He's out. He's been taken out of the December.
He's been taken out, has he? Yeah. So go back to the previous race. Yeah, I'd back him off that. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, happy days. Okay, well that makes me feel a little bit better because I don't want to bet Calico because I feel like he was very unlucky the last day. But yeah, I could back that In Excelsis deal. Happy days. December Gold Cup, right? So I personally still think this is quite
your
good.
favorite horse, number 4. Look, watch him. Is there a handicap in him?
He 100% he has. And Harry Cobden's chosen to ride him. Get him and Hermes out the same weekend, and I'll be absolutely skint, won't I? But looks a good race. Like even Fakir Doudery's right, dropping into handicap, coming like a massive, significant drop in class for him. I know obviously it's hard to give weight away, but the good horses I feel can do it. It's a proper decent race to be fair, because Thunder Rock, we all know what the form lines look with him. Connections have been bullish. Ollie Murphy's come out and said that he thinks he's got a massive chance. I see there's been dribs and drabs of money for So Scottish to come and run in there as well. Nichols is running both those, Monmorel, Il Rodotto. As much as it's like cutting up a little bit in terms of the fact we've only got 15 at this stage, probably going to reduce a little bit further down. Looks an all rightish race. Have you bet anything yet?
No, but I'm very disappointed. I thought Freddie Kinga, like he did in the November meeting, would be on Il Rodotto. He won this race last year, didn't he? I think he did, yeah. So Scottish, yeah, is very interesting, but is he marked too big of 141? Like he only like trot around the last day, maybe. Thunder Rock, obviously the form is there with what's his name?
The
real whacker, the real whacker, Marla Mission. Yeah, he's a bit of a wise guy's horse. Like
Yes.
you'd be worried about him in a fast pace race, wouldn't you? When he's jumping. Oh my God, Dave, I'm actually going to agree with you here. No, that's pretty bad. That I think Man Morana is actually a decent chance in this.
Agreed.
That's scary. Because
And
look, the other horse down the bottom there, like I bought into was Frere Bamboo there, like as well. Like
mm,
another one, another cliff horse for me. But I suppose with process of elimination, Man Moran
he might have a
fin-
chance. And Nichols target
finished
trained it with Stage Star, didn't he, the last month? So like I don't know
finished.
whether this is an afterthought and they've just thought actually let's
The
run
only
him in
thing,
here now.
the only thing I will say, Dave, like Thunder Rock is a 146, right? And Man Morel is a 145. And Man Morel finished ahead of him, didn't he, last year at New Year's Day, didn't he? Just about. If Thunder Rock was that the same race?
New Year's Day when they're behind the real whacker, yeah. He was in front of Thunder Rock.
Yeah. Like, like for what Monreal had done and what Thunder Rock did in front of Mariner Mission, like shouldn't Monreal be a little bit lower than 145?
Well, you say that. He was 7
Yeah.
lengths behind Jonbon on debut over fences, so probably should make him about a 160 horse. That's how it works. But that one don't look so bad now.
Calm down, Goshen.
But yeah, so I backed Thunder Rock earlier on. A couple of lads were saying about the fact that he'd shorten up sevens, 25 on that. I know people get pissed off with me saying these things, but they haven't run yet. I'm just being honest with it, because when it comes to the weekend, I probably won't be having a bet in this. I had 50 on Monmoral at sevens earlier when people told me that Cobden was booked and he was going here, purely because of the fact that I knew that he'd start to shorten. I've got the bet on. I can decide what I want to do with it after, because he's going to run. The price is only going to contract. I'll decide what I'm doing after, but that's where I'm sat with that one anyway. It does look a good race, to be fair. We've got the 225, which is a race where City Chief, he was supposed to run at Sandown, wasn't he, the last race? He hasn't. But you look here, big old Premier Handicap, Broadway boy, Sam Twiston Davis back on board. Like a pretty, again, like reasonable race for a December meeting. Is it a race you've looked at already? Or no?
No, but looking at the entries, if he
Sam
runs,
Brown, 3 under 3-5. Protectorat is going to run.
is Protector going to run? No,
Protectorat's jocked up, mate.
Yeah.
Prep run for the Cotswold Chase, probably.
No, he needs to go back and trip to 2.5 miles. He's not a 3 miler.
Or they're trying to get his mark down.
They're marked up, maybe, yeah, for a plate. Very much doubted. But yeah, Broadway boy should win, yeah.
Be good as well, because again, it'll be. I know it's different because he's a 5-year-old improving, but just going to make Florian Porter look better and better. Okay, Albert Bartlett, the Bristol Novices Hurdle. I love the Albert Bartlett. We've talked about this multiple times. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about these horses to give any sort of expert opinion, but this will be a race that I will go through in depth, every single one of them, because I think there'll be a couple of like outliers. And what I mean by that is ones that are not necessarily so well regarded in an Albert Bartlett market, but could have potential. And if they go and get the job done on Saturday, then all of a sudden I would be thinking of them for a Cheltenham thing. Any of the names jumping out at you from here?
Shannon Bob, yeah. They want to Plumpton, didn't he? Yeah. He won't tickle my fancy. He looked awkward to me. He could be good, but he looked awkward to me, and Plumpton probably plenty of improvement there, like, but no, nothing standing out there, Dave, to be honest with you.
Fair enough. Well, it's a windy enough market, the Albert Bartlett, every single year. I think it looks an all right race, to be fair, but you'd want to be seeing something going and shitting home. But we'll have a look. I'm sure we'll better find a good bet in there. Speaking of good bets, are you ready to put the money down? I was just going to say, if I think she's got a chance in the Mayor's Hurdle in March, which I said at the start of the season, admittedly thoughts might have changed now. She's about 5-2, I think, for this race. Some bookies are priced up. You might be able to get 7-2 with William Hill. I don't feel like it's worth me driving there, because if she doesn't run, then I'm proper fucked tonight. She might go to Ascot the week after. But if I think she can win the Mayor's Hurdle in March and she runs in this race, I know there's a price point of everything, but I've got to be getting stuck into her, haven't I? Or are you going to help me?
No, I'm not going to help you, but I know she finished third in the Great One. He travelled like a good horse, right? She did. My problem is, does she need a road? And 2, is Cheltenham really her bag? to get up the hill.
And does she really want another half a furlong? I mean, half a mile.
Maybe. I wouldn't disagree. The problem is the horse that I like in the race, like needs a road too, I think, and is Bonte. Bonte is surely better than 1, 2, 3. It's been around the track, won a mayor's listed bumper there in the November meet, and then was second last year to Queen's Camel in it. Like the better the ground, the better her chance, and I can't see Lucia giving £13 to Bonte on goodish ground at the weekend. But if it's soft ground, I wouldn't touch the race. Obviously, it's going to be soft, so like I wouldn't go near the race then. So I'd be just afraid because of the ground. I think they both need roads, Dev, and that's just my opinion.
Yeah, you could be right. And like I said, the early prices have come up. 7-2's top price with Hills. She's a general 5-1 poke. There's 3-1 with Ladbrokes and Corals. Like I say, it's not a big enough price to make me go, oh, I need to go and stick this bet on because it's short to only post. You might not run. It also makes me think that maybe she's just not going to be a puntable price. So for all that I like her and I've got her in high regard, you don't just bet horses for the sake of betting horses. Like there has to be some sort of value in there to doing it. So it might end up that she is 6-4 for this, and I end up saying to myself, I'm not backing her at 6-4 in this race because I wouldn't. The way that it's priced up at the moment, obviously it depends who runs, but the way that it's priced at the moment, I'd be wanting 4, 5, 6-1 on her in any handicap, regardless of who she's going up against, just as the start of it. And if there are horses that could challenge her, I'd expect her price to go out a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. It's very rare when you get these ones that are priced that short term that they drift out and it's a positive. Like we saw with Under Control, she was short, when she 6-4 even money, then goes off at like whatever price she did. So there's a part of me that wants her to run and win so I can just not bet her and she looks good for March. There's another part of me that wants her to wait for another race, but who knows? She's definitely on my radar. As it stands at the moment, I'm not desperate to bet her, but I want to back her in a handicap because she'll win off a 136. Whether this is the ideal condition to do it or not, I don't know. I don't know if she's crying out for the extra half a mile. But then if I'd fancy her in like a Jerry Fielding or something, then this has got to be easy. She's running against girls, isn't she? Right. I'm shutting up about the weekend's racing. There could be some bets. We haven't got the Irish decks up for the weekend just yet. There's a couple of meetings, I think, this weekend. Then it all starts to gear towards Christmas time, doesn't it? We've got Ascot next weekend, Friday and Saturday. Again, there'll be some half-decent Irish racing, but then it's going to be grade ones galore in it with all the big kids coming out, all those maidens, those beginners chases. All I will say is, let's pray to the man above, that is Barry Connell, that in 2 weeks' time, Marine Nationale has at least been entered in a beginner's chase. Because if it gets through the Christmas period and he has not seen a race course, Basal Vega wins the Arkle and goes up at 1-4, and Marine Nationale makes his comeback at Cheltenham against Constitution Hill because they won't want to waste his novice status. That is what is potentially on the cards. If he doesn't get him out at Christmas, Jamie, he's not going chasing surely after that.
It wouldn't bother me if he comes off after Christmas. Well, Chief, when an Arkle after one run.
I mean, yeah, so did Western Warhorse. But let's be honest, would you want to waste his novice status for the sake of it?
And wouldn't bother me at all. He's better turn of foot. As I say, like he's a better turn of foot than Basal Vega will ever have. So
he's got to get him entered though, because I know he didn't enter him before because he said the grounds were the worry. But if he doesn't even pay the €300 to enter him for a race, that is fishy, isn't it?
The ground at Leopardstown is usually good to whatever. They'll obviously be soft, and it's never that soft like it can be, obviously, because of the weather. But he's surely run at Leopardstown. My issue with him, Dave, is that what I saw is at the 27th, isn't it? The 27th of the race card, that it's a 2-mile one beginner's chase. I'd be a little bit worried about the extra furlong myself up that Leopardstown. I don't think Barry Connell will run him if it's soft ground with the extra furlong. If you know what I'm trying to get at.
There's a horse with any ability in there. If he gets a walkover, he'll run him, wouldn't
he? I don't know about that, but yeah, it's the extra furlong. If it was just 2 mile flat, he definitely run. That's what's worrying me. The extra furlong, would he be put off for the extra furlong on a bit of soft ground? Is what's bugging me, that he might not run. So, but for the sake of him running an Arkle and he doesn't run at Christmas, he's out after Christmas. No, that wouldn't bother me at all.
But would it not bother you that he talked about starting him in that beginner's chase, which he then decided the ground was bad, and then he said he'll run at Christmas. How many times has he got on? This is hypothetical, right? He might just come out, but if he doesn't run again at Christmas, at what point does your mind go from "I believe every word this man's saying" to "You're not telling us the whole story"? Would you ever think that?
Kind of, but it doesn't bother me because of he said last year. Well, I have, yeah. It wouldn't bother me in the slightest because he said last year after Railbon, I think I'm going to put him away for Cheltenham.
Yeah,
like he obviously needs gaps between these races, and I look, that's the other side of it as well. That if he doesn't run at Christmas, if he runs in January, can you get him ready for 8 weeks' time or something like that at Cheltenham? So that's the
straight to Cheltenham, take on Constitution Hill is what it will be, mate. Gaelic Warrior runs out right at the Dublin Race Festival and he goes back in the stayers. 25s and 25s. There's your double. Nicky Henderson pulls up Constitution Hill.
And Marie National wins the champion hurdle. No. To me, regardless of what fast I'd be,
Joe's getting defensive Marine. I know he hasn't raced yet, but he's been declared twice at least, did he? I do get that. I'm just mean with the Marine thing. It's exciting what's coming up at Christmas, right? But there will be lots of other talking points. Mirazor West, for example, everyone's saying he'll be out. He should have been out of Cork last week. We will reach the turn of the year, won't we? Where there are horses that we're expecting to be out, but some of them, every year it happens, some of these names don't turn up. Remember Daddy Longlegs last year was supposed to be the Triumph horse as well, wasn't
he? Yeah.
We'll see. Right, we need to call it quits because Scotty is delirious. He needs to get to bed.
Yeah, I say he drank too much the weekend then after that.
Right, should we wrap it up?
Yeah.
We've gone longer than we actually intended to, but it's been enjoyable, I think, mate. I guess the next performance from us probably just be Ranting and Racing next Monday, right? And then we'll do a Christmassy special if we can the back end of next week. We'll try and sort something out for that. You're speaking with Gavin again this week. First name terms, Gavin. Is it this week you're speaking to him?
Yeah, speaking to him for this week again. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Send him all my
best.
Great
to be on with Irish people. It's great to be on with Irish people.
Just remind him about CFB. And also remind him that Florian Porter did run right-handed because he said he wouldn't run, but he probably shouldn't have run given what he said as well. Anyway, that'll be good. Do you know when that's going to be coming out? End of the week? Maybe the week after?
During the week. The end of the week, I think. End of the week. Yeah.
Happy days. Well, check that out. That's on Joe's channel, Ginger Joe Sports Show. He's got the anti-post insight, which has got you, Scotty, and Gavin on there. Are you going to be putting any bets up? You are.
One, yeah. There's one for Cheltenham.
All right, well, text me before the video goes out then, please, will you, mate? And let me know if Gavin puts it up.
I'm going to move markets, am I? I am not.
Well, I appreciate your time again, mate. I'd like to say, appreciate all you guys doing every single week. We love it. We appreciate your support. Next Monday will be it. Don't know if you called it on Thursday last week either, but obviously Christmas is the Monday after. So we'll be live all day on Christmas. No, we won't. We won't be live on Christmas Day. We won't do the first either, New Year's Day. We'll do a couple of weeks out of it, but then we've got some very special content lined up after that. And then we will be back to our regular slots building up to Cheltenham. Does that sound about right, Jamie?
That sounds about right, Dev.
Boom. Right. Have a great week, everybody. There's a couple of horses I reckon we can get stuck into this weekend, so I will share all my bets again towards the weekend. I won't do it in the short because I don't think the weather's going to be as temperamental as the Sandown Aintree was this weekend. I'll let you guys know in due course. And then if I don't see you then, we'll see you next Monday. Good night.